Okay, the following is a video over the 12.1 notes. This is titled Representations of Three-Dimensional Figures. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw an isometric view of a figure, a three-dimensional figure. When I say isometric view, that's kind of like me saying a bird's eye view. Okay, so kind of from the upper corner. So let's take a look. We want to draw a rectangular prism that's 2 units high, 5 units long, and 2 units wide. So if I start here, I want to draw something that is 2 units wide here. Draw something that's 2 units tall. And so basically I have a 2 by 2 square right here. And if I connect these dots, then we can end up seeing that in 3 dimensions. And if I go 5 units back, so if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to have to extend this out for 5. Okay, this has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then this goes all the way out to here, and I can draw that going over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this goes down like that. So I end up getting this figure here that has 3 dimensions to it. Okay, it may be kind of hard to see, but it's just kind of like I have a bunch of blocks. Okay, and if I use this isometric dot paper, it allows me to connect those dots and make that figure. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. The next one's a little bit trickier. The next one, we use all these different views, like a top view, a left view, a front view, and a right view of an object. Now, I have to use all of these to help me with drawing this figure. Okay, now if I look at the top view, it's like me looking down on the object, and here's my front view. I'm going to start with these. Now, what I notice about these two is that my figure is 2 units long on the very, very, very front. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to draw something that has 2 units long. Okay, now my right side view shows me that I have 3 units going back. Okay, so that's kind of like looking at it from the front. That's this point right here. That's 3 units back this way, just kind of looking straight back at it. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to draw 3 units back on the bottom. So 1, 2, and then 3. Okay. The other thing I'm noticing is that I have 3 units going up here, okay? And that's the same 3 units as I have here from the front view. So those 3 units, this length and this length, can be made by that connecting those 3 dots for 3 units, okay? And then what I notice is that if I look at the right side, then I have 3 blocks going back on the bottom, okay? And it kind of has this stair step up. So if I make those 3 blocks going this way, all right, those are these 3 blocks here. And then I'm going to make this kind of a stair step block right there for these 2 blocks. And I'm just getting the side view, and then another block up top. All right. Now, as I look at the top view, I notice that I just have 3 blocks going back and then 2 up here. So I notice that I have 3 here and then 2 here. So I'm going to make those front 2 at least. Those are my front 2 blocks. And then I just noticed that I have 1 row of these. All right, so I'm just going to go over 1 and make this block going like this. And then connect those and try and make my stair step. And then... all right, so I kind of have this stair step, so you can kind of see it right here. But then I have this other block, this single block out here. And so I can make that little block right there. So this is kind of one of those like trial by error type things. Typically, you know, on a multiple choice exam, you'd be able to kind of view it. This view, looking at it like this, would be the right side view. Okay, coming in from this side would be your left view. Okay. Coming in from this angle would be your front view, and then coming up from the top would be your top view. Okay, and then the isometric view, the one that we're currently looking at, is the one that we're looking at in this form. Okay, so those are isometric drawings. Now let's take a look at the next item in our notes, which is the concept of a cross section. Now, if you guys are in culinary or baking or anything where you use a knife to cut something, every time you cut something food-wise with a knife, you were making a cross section. So that's kind of how I think about it. There's a formal definition, but I'm looking for a cross section is a two-dimensional shape that's created from cutting something. Okay, so an example that I have for you, if you're thinking about a cross section, is think of a loaf of bread. Okay, when you slice a loaf of bread, okay, that shape that you get of your bread is not necessarily the shape of your loaf, but it gives you that kind of interesting cross-section shape. So a loaf of bread would be an example of a cross-section, slice of a loaf of bread. Let's say you took an orange and you cut up an orange into a bunch of slices. So if you slice an orange, and all those individual slices would be considered cross-sections. So if you slice an orange, that's what you get. Now, when you slice a loaf of bread, you got all sorts of different types of shapes. Sometimes you can get those ellipses. You can get kind of like a circle. Other times you get that kind of, shape where you've got like the pan and then it kind of comes up like that a little bit, and there's your loaf of bread. This shape here that's created is your cross-section. Now, when you slice an orange, the shape that you get as a cross-section is a circle. Okay, so a cross-section is a 2D shape that's created from cutting something. All right. So let's take a look at some examples as to what we would do. So if I had a rectangular or a rectangular prism, okay, my base is a square. If I were to take that and cut that rectangular prism in half, okay, I'm looking at this shape that's created after cutting it. And that shape that I would get, let's just call it a rectangle for now, because I don't know if these segments are congruent. They kind of look like they are, but I'm not really sure, so I can't really make that claim. So this shape here, we'll just call that a rectangle. Okay, rectangle. All right. Same thing over here. If I take that exact same thing, this really looks like a rectangle. If I take that exact same thing and cut it down the middle here, then I end up getting also a rectangle. Okay. So that shape here is a rectangle, and that's your answer. All right. Let's take a look at this. Now, if I kind of cut the same rectangular prism but on a diagonal, the shape that I get here is actually a triangle. Okay, so you can really just kind of tell by the drawing, by the little dotted lines it's created, but that gives me a triangle. Okay. This is it for 12.1 notes. This is a pretty easy section. I feel like we should all be able to complete this homework in the time allotted, so I hope you enjoyed that. And please get started on your homework. You guys are doing a wonderful job. We'll see you. Thanks.